Hey guys, Joy here, and it's been, like 3 years since I've been gone? No, more like 3 months. I did not want to start off the year with a video looking back at 2018. I did have plans to do all the books I read in 2018, my favorite books of 2018, the worst books of 2018. If you still want to see those videos, let me know down in the comments below. If not, I'm just going to leave 3 links down in the description box below. One of the links for my Goodreads will be all the books I read in 2018. The next link will be my favorite books of 2018, and the third link will be the worst books I read in 2018. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's head on to the video. The first video I decided to do for 2019 is all the books I want to read in 2019. So without further ado, let's just get started. I'm not going to go in any particular order. I have the stack of books on my left, so I'm just going to grab whatever book is on top. The first book I have here is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Now I did start reading this book, I think at the end of 2017 when I first bought it, but afterwards I just lost interest. I don't know why. The reason why I picked this book up in the first place is because it was compared to Caraval. Now, I read Caraval, I never know how to pronounce it. The reason I got this was because it was said that Caraval was kind of like the Night Circus. So I did read Caraval, I did like it, I didn't love it, it wasn't one of my favorites, but I decided to get this and read it mostly because I've heard the Night Circus is so much better than Caraval. Yes, to some degrees it is similar to Caraval, but it's not the same. You know me, I like going into books without knowing that much. What I read and heard of what this book is about is that there's this circus and it appears out of nowhere. Like there's no warning, nothing precedes it, it just one day is there when the other day it wasn't. I'm assuming it has a lot of magical elements. I don't know if it's like the real witchy magic or if it's the fake magic. You know what I mean? Like the fake magic, the one where, oh my god, how did that happen? But there's also a little trick on how the thing, you know, I'm not making sense and I'm sorry. It's been on my shelf forever. I've been meaning to read it. I've got a tote from the Night Circus that I use all the time, and people have told me, oh my gosh, you read the Night Circus, it's my favorite book. It's your favorite book too because you have the tote. And I'm always like, sorry to disappoint you, but no, I have not read it. I have the tote because it came in an Owl Crate box, and then I go on to explain what Owl Crate is. So I've had it on my shelf for years. I feel like it's time for me to get through this. The next book I have is 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lebenkott and Mickey Daughtry and Tobias Laconis? I probably butchered every single one of those names. The reason why I picked this book up is, if you haven't heard the news, this is being turned into a movie, and I believe it comes out in April or March. What this story is about, it follows 2 young people with cystic fibrosis. So I guess the rule with this is that people with cystic fibrosis aren't supposed to be within 6 feet of each other, or they'll catch each other's bacteria. So in this book, we follow 2 characters who have cystic fibrosis and they end up falling for each other. I guess it's how they are going to figure out how to be together without actually being together because they can't be together. So it does have kind of like The Fault in Our Stars vibes, and I do want to read this book before the movie comes out. So what had happened here is that the trailer to the movie came out before the book. So I guess while the book was in the process of being published, someone picked up the rights to the movie because it was just that good. So I'm expecting really great things from this book. The next book I have here is a book that was actually on my list for 2018, which I never got around to it, and I'm just laughing because I remember doing that video for all the books I want to finish in 2018 and being excited about it, but I never got to it last year. And the book I'm talking about is The Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. In this book, we follow, I guess, anti-heroes. Like I said in my 2018 video, I read the first page and I was just hooked like that. So we follow 2 characters, I just read that. We follow 2 characters, Kate and August, and Kate wants to be as ruthless as her father. So I'm guessing her father's like a murderer. And August wants to be human. So I'm guessing he's the monster who wants to have like human feelings. A monster who wants to be human, and then a human who wants to be a monster. I'm kind of getting those vibes. Am I getting close? Hopefully I actually get to it this year. 2018 was a wildly slumpy year for me. Like towards the end of that year, things were just horrible. The next book I want to get to this year is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nain. I'm assuming that's how you say the name. Anyways, this cover is gorgeous, and this is the Owl Crate exclusive cover, so that's why it's a little different. I do have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition as well, mostly because I pre-ordered that before I realized it was going to be in the box. I'm assuming a lot of things about these books, and you know what they say, when you assume you make an ass out of you and me. Our main character, Lay, I believe is her name, is a paper cast, and that's like the lowest cast in this world. Apparently, people with golden eyes are meant to be like the higher caste. So here we have Lay, a paper cast with golden eyes, and when the king finds out that Lee has golden eyes, he whisks her or kidnaps her, and then we follow Lay at the palace trying to survive the king. That is what this book is about, and I can't wait to read it because I've heard nothing but great things about this book, and I really am looking forward to reading it. Oh goodness gracious, here we have another book that was on my list for 2018 and I did not get to it, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and I have no other way of explaining my reading year in 2018 other than it was slumpy and it was full of Throne of Glass. And when I read Kingdom of Ash, it didn't help matters. It made my slump even worse because after Kingdom of Ash, I'm like, what do I do with myself now? What do I read next? So once again, this book was in my 2018 list. I never got to it, but I did get to read Siege and Storm at the beginning of 2018, and then I just lost interest. I did want to read Ruin and Rising, but I just couldn't get into it. So I just went to Wiki Fandom. I read what happens. I know what happens. So now I feel like I am good and solid to start Six of Crows. I've heard people say that this is better than Shadow and Bone, and some people have said they even skipped the Shadow and Bone trilogy. But I'm the type of person that wants to read every single book in that universe before I start a book in the universe. You know what I mean? This book was hyped up last year so much. People were loving it. Everyone and their mom read it. It was all the rage last year. But my people over at the Throne of Glass read along chat, I think Najwa has read it. I think Rebecca has read it. I'm not sure if Ryan or Leah has read it, but I have heard it's really great. And I feel like every booktuber has read this book and has loved it. The book I'm talking about is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I was taken aback because everybody was reading it, like I said. Everyone was saying that it was just the best book out there. So what this book is about is we follow this reporter who wants to make it big, and she gets the opportunity to interview Evelyn Hugo, and Evelyn Hugo is like this amazing actress in, I believe, the 1940s, 1950s. So I was way off. It takes place in the 1980s. Evelyn Hugo in the 80s, she was a really big star, and she got married 7 times, hence the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I hope that this book lives up to the hype. I'm really expecting like fantastic, mind-blowing, numb feeling things about this book. So the next book I have here is a book that was both on my TBR list already, but I got the push to buy it by one of my co-workers, and that is The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Iturbe. This book is, I want to say, yeah, it's based on the true story of Auschwitz prisoner Dita Kraus. But I had just finished Kingdom of Ash, and I was going around asking all my co-workers, what do you guys recommend? I'm in a slump. I finished Kingdom of Ash. I don't know what to do with myself. Give me things. Just give me all the happy books. First, she recommended Ella Enchanted. After I finished Ella Enchanted, she was telling me about how she read The Librarian of Auschwitz and how she got her mom and her sister-in-law to read it. So I found it. I bought it. It's been on my shelf since I bought it. I think I bought it in early December, and I haven't gotten to it. So like I said, this is based on a true story of Dita Kraus. You all know me. I love historical fiction, especially when it has to do with the Holocaust or World War II. We all know what World War II was. We all know what the Holocaust was. Hitler banned literature, books were being burned, and I've really been wanting to read this. It was already on my list, but my coworker, like I said, she just pushed me to actually buy it and get it for myself instead of waiting for the library copy. This next book I have here is one that I'm not sure when I'll get to this year, and I still haven't decided how I'm gonna finish this series because there's just so many books in this world. And the book I'm talking about is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I did start participating in the read-along by Emma Books, but I think I stopped at City of Glass mostly because I was doing 2 read-alongs. I was doing Throne of Glass and I was doing the Cassandra Clare. And I thought to myself, I can't do both. It has to be one or the other. So I decided to stick with the Throne of Glass read along, mostly because that series I was more invested in and it was more fresh. Now my dilemma with this is I don't know whether I want to continue reading after City of Glass, because I am not going to start at the Mortal Instruments again. I just can't do that to myself. It's torture. I mean torture in the best way, mostly because I love Cassandra Clare and I love the world that she built, but I feel like she is just dragging it out way too much. And I feel like if I read the Dark Artifice series, this is going to be the last series I read by Cassandra Clare. So what we follow here is we follow Emma, and she was introduced in City of Heavenly Fire. What I'm assuming this entire trilogy is about is Emma finding out what really happened to her parents. You know what, before I say this, I'm going to do spoilers for City of Heavenly Fire, so if you haven't read the series and you do want to, I'll choose a random picture, but when the picture here disappears, go ahead and unmute. So though Emma's parents' death was blamed on Sebastian, we do realize that her parents were murdered by something different. This entire series, I'm assuming, is Emma trying to figure out what exactly killed her parents. But all three books that are in this trilogy, in the Dark Artifice series, are very chunky because I am in a reading slump, and as soon as I start reading and I'm starting to feel like I'm getting out of that reading slump and I'm like, okay, I think I can tackle a big book, I try to, and then I get back into my reading slump. So it's really hard to find exactly the perfect moment where I will be able to read these books. So those are all the books I want to read for 2019. Thank you, Rebecca, for giving me the idea for having this as my first 2019 video. Just keep in mind that these are some of the books that are the highest priority on my list. I do have way more books I want to get through this year, but most of them are in series, so I do have a plan to do a series I want to finish in 2019. The only series that are going to be on that video are series that are already completed or are going to be completed this year. So that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below what is the #1 book you want to get through in 2019. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of my face, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!